So we did it. We finished the first season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What a ride that was. I've been pretty open that this is by and far my favorite show of all time. I love this show. I credit the show with changing my life. But even I have to admit, this first season, it's not the strongest example of why this show is so life-changing. It had a lot of growing pains. It took a while to kind of find its footing, and I don't know if by the end of the first season it really found its voice. But it certainly stuck the landing. That last episode was just pure Buffy greatness. But some of the episodes leading up to it were a little bit rough. But I figured we could, before we move on to season 2, we could kind of just recap the season as a whole. So let's start off with the two-parter, right? Welcome to the Hellmouth and the Harvest. Oh, both great examples of what Buffy is all about. Both the show and the character. It really established both of those in ways that I don't know a lot of shows managed to pull off in the pilot. We also kind of meet and fall with the core Scoobies and Cordelia. I mean, she still has a lot of growing to do, most of it done over on Angel, but we start to get a feel for who she is at this point in time in her life. It's a really great example of a show understanding what it is right out of the gate. I think the real problem with Buffy, at least the first season, comes from it knew what it wanted to be. It just didn't know how to make that a episodic formula. If the first 2 episodes feel very much self-contained and like a movie almost, right? It's even almost movie length, or is movie length. But then how do we extend that into a show? How do we keep this narrative going? I think is where they stumbled a little bit. If it was like a modern day show, like a Netflix show, and it was only like 6 episodes or whatever, I don't think it would have had the issues that it had in this season, because a lot of the issues came from the filler episodes, which in later seasons are incredible. Like some of the best episodes the show has to offer. But in this season, a lot of the filler episodes are too standalone-ish and don't really fit the bigger narrative. So it suffers for it a little bit. At least that's my opinion. After that, we have The Witch. Now, The Witch was great because it's the first time, and it's right out the gate, it's the 3rd episode, but it's the first time the big bad's not a vampire. It shows us and establishes pretty well that we're going to be dealing with things other than just, vampires. That there's a larger world, and we're going to be playing in all of those sandboxes. Plus, we meet Amy, and she's going to be a great character moving forward. It's a great episode to start with, after, obviously the two-parter introduction. Then we get Teacher's Pet, which is pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. It's the first kind of Xander-centric episode. It sets up a lot of his dating luck and how he has a thing for demons for some reason, but never intentional, just coincidentally dates demons. I think it's a good episode, but it's not a great. They could have done this episode a little better if they had waited a little bit to do the episode when the characters were a little more established, but it was good. Definitely sets up Xander's crush on Buffy. Then the next episode is, it's pretty Owen-y. Never kill a boy on the first date. Definitely, I think, has some of the most memorable lines, not just from season 1, but kind of from the show as all. The apocalypse comes, beat me. It has a lot of great lines. But I do think it's the weakest episode up to this point. Does that make sense? It sets up the Anointed One. It does all the stuff that's important and necessary. But it was not, I don't know. I like the other episodes that came before it a lot better. Then we got The Pack. Another kind of Xander episode. It shows very much what Buffy wants to be. A show that talks about real high school things and then uses the supernatural as a metaphor for those high school things, which is great, which is what the show is. And this episode, I think, out of all the first season episodes, kind of does it the best. But it's still, you could tell it's still trying to find its footing. It's not as smooth as it could have been. There's a little rough patches in there. It's a little too focused on this one story. And the lives of the characters get a little little lost, if that makes sense. Um, just a little too plot heavy, I think, is the thing. And not enough on the relationships of the characters, which is something that they fix moving forward. Like when we get to standalone episodes in season 2, the focus is still the characters. And the standalone plot, which needs to be solved, isn't the focus. It's there, it's what they're dealing with, but the characters stay the focus. Whereas a lot of these season 1 episodes that are like these plot heavy episodes are too plot heavy. They're too much about the plot, not enough about the characters. And that is definitely a problem with season 1 that gets resolved pretty quickly in season 2. Up next, we get one of the greatest episodes in the first season, probably one of the greatest episodes of the show, Angel. We learn a lot about our brooding vampire, what motivates him. We learn about the curse. We learn more about Darla, one of my favorite characters. It's one of the best episodes, I think, especially of the first season. It's just brilliant. Then we learn a lesson that is very 90s-esque because everyone's just throwing this lesson out. Dating online is dangerous. It's 100% a great lesson in the 90s, but it's, I think out of every episode of Buffy, this one is the one that aged the worst. Doesn't mean that it's a bad episode or that the content of the episode didn't age well, but it's the most clearly 90s-esque episode of the entire show. It's not the characters, the story, it's just the aesthetic. Like the laptop is so 90s-esque, like what are we doing? And then even kind of the messaging of, you know, the internet is dangerous and all that. It was very 90s-esque. Now we live in a world where we just embrace the internet. It's everything. We are obsessed with it. But it does have a lot of good things to say about how dangerous it is for someone who has never really felt validation to suddenly get it, and how easy they are to manipulate and to kind of take advantage of when they don't have that support system or that level of confidence. And you see that a lot now, how easy it is to get lost in that validation. And this episode talks a lot about it and how important it is for people to have lifelines and to take a step back and not get lost in this new relationship or this new whatever, and to remember who you are and where you belong and who your friends are. It's an episode with a great message that, not my favorite episode of the season, but it does have a really important message. And it is crazy to see just how 90s this show was. Then we get the puppet show. We get to meet Sid and Snyder for the first time. It's a great old-fashioned, like, kind of noir, supernatural mystery. It's a lot of fun. Not great, very corny season 1-esque, but it is so much fun. You can't help but enjoy it every time you watch this episode. Nightmares, it has a lot of potential. It definitely has a lot to say. But it's an episode that always, it feels a little weak. It feels like it's trying to juggle a little too much. The theme of dealing with nightmares kind of comes back later on, and dealing with dreams and how surreal they feel. And I think in future episodes that kind of touch on it a little bit, it handles it a lot better. This one still felt like trying to figure out how to juggle it. It doesn't live up to its potential. I think the same could be said of Out of Mind, Out of Sight. This episode sets up arguably one of the coolest, but like never really used setups in the entire Buffyverse. This government-sanctioned assassination team that are all invisible. Like, why didn't the Initiative use these people? This should have 100% come back in season 4. Why didn't it? It's such a missed opportunity. This little cliffhanger ending of a school of assassins who are all invisible would have been amazing. Would have been spectacular. And they just didn't do anything with it. They just let it go. It's an episode that has such strong parts, but the whole is weaker than those parts. And it's a shame, because this could have been one of the greatest episodes. And normally at this far of rewatching season 1, I do feel like the show is in a little bit of a slump. It's a bunch of episodes that are okay, but not great. Then we get to Prophecy Girl, the season finale of the first season. and it's not just good, it's great. It's the most cinematic episode of Buffy we've had at this point, in a way that we really have not seen at all. Like it's next level. They went above and beyond to make this episode look epic and to feel epic. It has so much heart. It deals with the characters in such a nuanced way, and it's just so charming. I think it's damn near a perfect episode. It ties up a lot of the loose ends, setting up stuff for the future. It brings Cordy and Jenny into the fold, not all the way, but kind of starts to, we can say that. It starts to bring them into the fold. They help avert the apocalypse. So setting up for bringing them into the Scoobies later on is established here. The stuff between Buffy and the Master is next level. The Angel and Xander stuff is next level. It's a great episode. I love this episode so much. It's a masterclass in making television. I guess overall, season 1, like I said, it's far from perfect, but it's a great opening to a world that I love. I absolutely adore. There's nothing better than the Buffyverse. Buffy, Angel, all of that. It's just next level greatness. And this season, while it has its weak spots, it really is finding that footing. And I don't think they could have had the greatness that comes later without the stumbling in this first season. It really sets the ground for everything. And you could tell they really wanted to be serialized. And there was probably a lot of notes about we want more standalone episodes. And so I think that was a problem that this season was fighting with, was how to serve both masters. And in later seasons, they juggle it a lot better, to where even the standalone episodes are still very serialized. It feels more like a soap opera, which is what this should be. Whedon is a crazy comic book fan, so he likes serialized stories. And Buffy, when it gets good, is serialized. It's even the standalone episodes tell a larger narrative. And that is a lot of what was missing from this first season. But I think they learned that lesson, and I think they fixed it moving forward. Season 2, I can't wait till we get to season 2. I love season 2. So let's do top 5 episodes from season 1. Number 5, The Witch. It's a fun episode. Number 4, The Harvest. Number 3, Angel. 2, Welcome to the Hellmouth, and 1 has to be Prophecy Girl. What are your guys' top 5? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button, and I will. Let's get into season 2. See you next time.